Good evening, everyone. This is the Tuesday, September 12th, 2023 regular meeting of the Flemington Borough Planning Board. I forgot my OPMA statement. So I came straight from the office. This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Kara, what else do I have to say to make sure we're kosher?
The notice has been posted on the door of the municipal building, and did you say published? According to the, yes, you did. Okay.
The notice has been published in the Courier News and 180 Democratic papers on or about January 18th and 19th, 2023, and on the interests of the building. This meeting is a judicial proceeding, and any comments or questions made must be appropriate to that. This meeting may be recorded and rebroadcast. Did I catch all of it, I think, Kara?
Yes, I think there's also something in there that about posted at ADA accessible entrances there too, but I think other than that, we're okay.
I apologize, I came straight from Philly. So ask everyone, please rise as you are able to the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Kemp. Here. Councilwoman Engelhardt. Here. Mr. Campion is excused. Mr. Joshua.
Here.
Mr. Levitt.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Do not
Do not see him. He said he was going to come in remotely. Ms. Gibbon is excused. Ms. Weitzman.
Here.
Here. Mr. Hill.
Here.
Mr. Semino.
Here.
Mr. Echo.
Here.
Mr. Schoen.
Here.
Ms. Kaczynski.
Here.
Ms. McManus. Here. Mr. Clerico, Mr. Troutman, and our alternate planner, Mr. Klein, are excused.
So, Kara, just make, if you could get a little bit closer to your microphone, I think would probably be helpful.
Yep, absolutely. Is that better?
It is a little bit, thank you. All right, item 1 on the agenda this evening, as always, time for period of public comments for items not currently in front of the board.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
About, is this about Dewey?
It is about Dewey.
We have a spot for you on the agenda a little bit later, if that's okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, any other members of the public?
See any hands up?
I see Todd now is just logged in. We're gonna let Todd Cook in on. All right, item 2, mayor comments.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 3, council comments.
The only thing I have is just for a report that last night council passed unanimously. Thank you, Lois, for the reminder. The council passed unanimously last night at the council meeting the 4 ordinances that the subcommittee had proposed and pushed up to the council. It was the zoning map was amended. The artisan village district was amended. The public art committee and the definitions were amended, and those were all in one way, shape, or form recommended by our master plan, and really appreciative of the other council members that voted to push those through, and all of the work that the subcommittee here did. It really was a goal of mine, and I'm really glad that we got it done.
Thanks, Susan. Item 4, HPC comments.
Hi, I just wanted to mention that the HPC provided comments to the planning board on 13 Brown Street, new design. Eileen sent that out to the planning board yesterday. We also provided feedback on Central Station LLC, 37 Mine Street. Eileen sent that out to everyone on September 5th. And then the only other item, the HPC approved steps replacement at 31 Church Street. That's it.
Item 5 on our agenda this evening is approval of minutes from the August 22nd, 2023 regular meeting. Those have been previously circulated. Can I get a motion in a second on the minutes?
So move, Cook.
Second, Hill.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Levitt,
Yes.
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Mrs. Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
yes,
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Stevens. Mr. Eck,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Item 6 on the agenda this evening is a resolution memorializing action taken by the board on the BSD Flemington Apartments LLC project. I understand, Carrie, that we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. I had a conversation with council today about a couple items. I told him since our next meeting is next week, I wouldn't have it for that one either, but I would circulate it to him and the board prior to the board's October meeting, first October meeting.
So, thanks, Karen. So we're going to table that until October 3rd meeting. Great. Item 7 on the agenda this evening, and why I think some got an audience, is the scheduled public hearing for Wardsville Road Properties LLC application 2022-05 block 45 lots 11, 12, and 15, a site plan and subdivision application. We understand from applicants' counsel that based on feedback from our board's professionals and committees, they would like to carry this forward and may possibly make revisions and then come back at a future date. Am I getting that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we're going to carry this to October 24th, 2023, 7 p.m. in this room at this time. No further notice will be given. I will say on the record about this particular applicant. My significant other lives at 808 Clark Circle, and when the application first came in, she was not within the 200 feet of the application, and so no conflict exists. However, we now understand that there is a council who is representing the South Main Village Homeowners Association, and out of abundance of caution, if the objector continues on, if you can't work out whatever issues are going on, and they are still a registered objector moving forward, I will recuse myself because the HOA itself is the objector and not the individual property owners. And since Ms. Zimmerman is a member of the HOA, having lived there in that project, I will recuse myself. Just I want to put that out there. But if there is no objector going forward, she's not within 200 feet, but I just want to put that out there. So, and you have to. Sorry. All right.
Is it returning? Get notice of the date?
I'm sitting right there.
Oh, hi.
So, yes. With that, we'll move on to item 8 on the agenda, which is the scheduled continuation of the public hearing for Douglas Stryker application 2023-02 13 Brown Street. That was continued from July 11th and August 8th, 2023. At the request of the applicant's counsel, we are going to continue that to September 19th. That is next week. That's our next meeting. So we are carrying that to September 19th, 2023, 7 p.m. in this room. No further notice will be given. It has changed. I want to put this out there. It has changed from a 2-family project to a 1-family home, and there were some other design elements that changed. Those plans are on file as of Friday with the borough and circulated to the professionals. If members of the public want to see them, they are available in Borough Hall and on the website.
And on the website.
And on the website. So just
What is that website?
just Historic Flemington. It's on the borough's website. Under the planning board. HistoricFlemington.com under the planning board section. Or obviously hard copies do are here as well. So we're going to carry that to our next meeting next week.
Excuse me, Jeff.
Yeah.
So the use variance is dropped on.
It is not a use variance, right? Because it's now.
Taken off the.
So yes, it is no longer a use variance. It is a permitted use. There are other relief, I think, being sought as connection with that application, but it is no longer use variance, which means that class 1 and class 3 members.
Now, the only issue with that, Jeff, I'm gonna have to talk to council. I don't know what their plan is with regard to presentation. Because I'm not sure if he plans on doing the entire presentation again or just the revisions, in which case the class 1 and class 3 has not heard the entirety of the application. So we're gonna have to talk through that a little bit to see what his plan is. If he'd like for everybody to vote, I would encourage him to, and basically say you'd have to do the entire presentation again from that point on. But this is a bit of a unique situation, so I'll discuss that with him and I'll have an answer prior to the next board meeting.
Testimony on August 8th? I don't think there was.
Was there what? I'm sorry.
I think there was a testimony on August 8th.
But
I-
there was on the 11th, correct?
On July 11th? I don't think so. I think they came in,
Because they had to. they
and there was a
renoticed-
notice problem, so we carried it, and because they didn't have the full list. And then they came in and said, we're gonna change everything. So I don't think there's actually been any testimony given, and you can confer with Mr. Grunberg on this, but I'm fairly certain that there's nothing to review.
I'll check the minutes, I'll talk to him, and then I'll let everybody know before the next meeting.
Okay,
And
Do
even
they
if
have to
they're-
go back to the plan, to the HPC, since it's a totally different?
HBCC, the new drawing,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and yeah,
Yeah, and
the letter that,
commented
and the
they
letter
had no
that
further
Dennis mentioned
comments.
is on the new drawings.
Okay.
So HBC has actually issued 3 separate reports on this project
Yeah.
because it's had a few iterations.
The only things in the minutes are the notice, and then on July 8th, just that they wanted to take some time to digest the comments and come back with revised plans.
Yeah. So I think it's, I don't think there's anything to review.
Okay.
Let the lawyers figure that out.
Yeah.
The meetings are recorded too, right?
They
So
were.
in theory, if we needed to, we could watch the
Yes.
tape.
Yes.
back.
Correct. I just wanted to make sure we knew whether or not you'd have to do that prior to the next meeting in order to be able to vote.
Got it.
They totally changed everything too, so even if there was testimony, it's totally changed.
Correct.
We'll move on. Before we get to chair items, I want to ask for a motion to amend the agenda, if we could, and add an informal inquiry. Property owners at 9 Dewey. 7 Dewey, sorry, 7 Dewey, thank you, Mayor. Amend the agenda to add an informal inquiry for 7 Dewey. We have a motion, is there a second?
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Levitt,
Yes.
Mr. Dawson,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Sunino,
Yes.
Mr. Echo.
Yes. Okay, so now we're up to what is now 9 on the agenda, an informal discussion relates to 7 Dewey. Now come on up, and you can stand with the microphone there if you could,
Okay.
so that remote folks can hear you.
And Mr. Chairman, I just want to put on the record that we have reviewed the information and it has been confirmed that there is no use variance application that would be requested, so this board can hear an informal.
So tell us what you're doing, and then we will give you whatever feedback we can.
Okay, so I'm the homeowner, Christina Mented, this is my father-in-law, who's the contractor, on the project. We had a house fire on May 10th, of this year. We're, basically looking, I'm trying to think where to start, it's a lot. So our current house, is 7 feet away from the, looking at the house, the left property boundary. So I'm not assuming, I think the new zoning ordinances require 10 feet. So we had an addition on the house. We did not put it on its previous homeowners. It was 7 feet that like followed the house. I think it was 14 feet out towards the back property line, if this makes sense. Yeah. So because that 14 feet of addition was compromised, the insurance company made us take it out when we started gutting the house. So when my father-in-law showed the plans, which was to put on that extra, to keep that 14 feet, that's really just 7 feet away from the property line of addition. The zoning officer said because it was taken down, it can't be like grandfathered in, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah, and what we're looking, I mean, what we'd ideally like to do would be to extend that 25 feet from the original structure of the house, not from the 14-foot addition, which would be 7 feet away from the property line instead of 10.
So I'm gonna ask a couple of questions,
Yeah.
and then Beth's gonna ask a couple of questions, and we're gonna figure out what the best path, the way forward is.
Okay.
So when the extension was put on by the prior owner, did they get a site plan? Did they get construction permits?
No. They got no permit.
They just did it.
Oh,
Yeah, please
okay.
come forward. Yeah. Just, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the mic, just so the remote folks can hear you better. Yeah,
That's why we call it informal.
this is informal. Yeah.
We're just chatting.
I don't really know what I'm talking
Apparently.
No, it's all good. It's all good. This is how.
Apparently the addition must have been put on in the early 70s, I had a guess. So, I mean, I have a survey, obviously, which was done maybe 3 weeks ago, or
Right.
5 weeks ago. And, everything's right here. Like I said, the 14-foot went out. And the insurance company wanted everything demolished. We had it demolished, the foundation, because it was so bad, it was compromised, it was leaking water, it was cracked and everything. So while we're doing this, we were asking to go out 25 feet. So it's another 9 feet from the original 14 feet that was there.
Right. So the existing, let's call it the oldest part of the structure, right?
It's still there.
It's still there, and-
7'3".
And it's
off the property line.
7 feet off the property line. It's an existing what we call an existing non-conforming condition. And the prior extension that was 14 feet long
Yes,
mirrored the
Yes.
side of the house.
yes,
And what you'd like to do is to, what you're gonna rebuild anyway, instead of doing 14, you wanna do 25.
Correct.
And so, okay, I got it.
It's still a straight line, not.
It's still a straight line, right?
it is.
Okay,
Yes.
so the zoning officer said what?
He said it doesn't comply with the new rules. I
Yeah.
guess zoning just came in maybe a month ago. to the
No,
township.
we didn't change.
We haven't changed setback, we haven't changed this part of town for a
No.
long, long time. Yeah,
Well, they had given me all the information which they have up front
Yeah.
for zoning.
Yep.
So only paperwork. They said this was all new.
there's a new form, I think, that the new zoning officer is using, but the ordinance hasn't changed.
Okay,
New
sorry,
zoning
no, that's fine.
officer and
Yeah,
Yeah, it was the new zoning.
yeah,
And we were the lucky ones to get the very first permit. So-
it's all right. So,
So I filled all that out.
Yep.
and Gave him the survey and this is what he came back with.
okay,
So
so,
he suggested that we come here and do it.
okay, so what do you think?
Okay, I think that the existing, before the house fire, you had existing non-conforming condition because your setback was 7 feet,
3 inches.
7 feet, 3 inches, and it looks like on the side that's not the driveway, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So on the other side, you had undersized setback of 7 feet where 10 feet is required,
Yep.
and that was for a length of 14 feet, right? So the house fire occurred. Sorry. You had to remove the addition, and now what the zoning officer is saying, you basically are starting from scratch in the sense that you don't get to grandfather the 14-foot addition. And so since you've got to ask for approvals anyways, it sounds like, well, let's ask for what we really want, which is 25 feet.
Correct.
So there's no exacerbation of the undersized setback in the sense that it's going from 7 to 6 to 5 feet, but it is exacerbated and the variance is getting larger, if you will. The deviation is larger because it's not a 14-foot length that is the deviation out to 25 feet. So
And what's the setback? Do they go 20?
it's 10 feet. It's
sorry.
required to be 10 feet.
So when they go straight back on 25,
Oh,
what's
it's
what's the
The rear
difference between
Yeah. what's
Oh, the rear of the house,
to the property?
I have, the whole lot is 160 feet, so if you come back at 23 feet from the street.
Yeah.
The original house is 25, this is another 25, so that's 50, so that leaves us at least 90.
Right, so they don't have a rear yard.
No, it's a 35 feet setback.
Yeah,
so
so
And off to the side, which is a driveway, we have,
So,
he
I
doesn't
mean,
have it.
so it is gonna require, unfortunately, it is gonna require a
Yes,
site
it's a
plan.
new C variance. It's just a setback variance for this board. I don't know whether or not the impervious cover is gonna change either. I mean, it will
Probably not.
change. I don't know whether it's gonna be a deviation. It's at 50% is what's permitted in the district now, as well as 25% building coverage. So I don't know where the existing property.
It doesn't sound like they're gonna, it's small enough. but we shouldn't look at that, yeah.
But it's still senior.
Yeah, so if you're asking the question, in the past, has the board granted that kind of variance relief? Yes, I will say that just as a, not speaking about the particular merits of yours, we all have lots that are right up against our neighbors. We all have conditions that are not exactly right. And in the past, when there have been cases where you're literally just taking the existing house and going straight back, in general, we consider that, you know, but we have to look at the particulars of your case and see, is there too much building on the lot? Because that's one of our rules. Is there, like we call impervious coverage? We have to make sure the height is correct. We have to make, like, there's other rules about the lot, but in cases where it's not exasperating an existing, it tends to be okay, but I don't want to promise anything, right? If you're asking, because the email was suggesting that, but I can't call on you. Sorry, Melissa.
It's an informal.
It's an informal with them. I can't.
I know, but I want you to look at precedent,
I'm not-
precedent.
So the email that you'd sent was asking, like, before we go down all this road, is the board even gonna get, this is something that, I mean, I'm not speaking out of turn here, that, yeah.
We just can't give a yes or no at this point, but I would encourage you guys to speak with your neighbors. Particularly the neighbor that's the 7-foot setback, or that 7 foot is against. I think, having those folks understand your application is important. It speaks, one of the criterion for granting a variance is the impact on the surrounding properties. Is there a negative impact? Is it a substantial negative impact? And that's in part going to be judged on what the impact to that adjacent property is.
Adjacent property is actually their backyard.
No, the house,
It's a side yard.
the side yard, the neighbor that abuts the 7-foot setback.
I mean, there's a fence on it, yeah.
Yeah, and again, if there's a fence up, that's another detail that helps us understand that
Yep.
you're not exasperating a condition, you know, those are all these this way, these are all these details we look at, but there are a whole lot of lots in town
Yeah.
that have a similar situation, and the board considers them, you know, if, for example, if you were talking about a situation where it was 7 feet and you wanted to not only go back, but you wanted to make it worse,
Yeah.
that's, the board generally considers that differently than something where you're like literally just keeping the same line of the house, right? Unfortunately, it does require a variance.
Okay, let me ask you this question. If the 14 feet was already there.
Yeah.
Could I redraw the plans, use that existing 14 feet and then step the rest of the addition 10 feet off? Would you grandfather that?
So,
Can't be-
yeah, the lawyer's gonna
Well,
jump,
yeah.
the lawyer's gonna jump in. Go ahead, Karen, again.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm understanding correctly, keep the 14 feet, rebuild the 14 feet in the 7.3 foot location off the side yard setback, and then take the additional, whatever, 9 feet, whatever, to 25 feet and make that comply with the side yard setback. Is that what I'm hearing?
That would be our second choice to do, yes.
I don't recall off the top of my head what the ordinance says with regard to destruction of non-conforming structures. Do we have a percentage in the ordinance? Do we have any reconstruction of any portion has to go back and get approvals? I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that.
That was about the safety issue. It wasn't like. So the legal issue, unfortunately, is that when you just, when something is non-conforming and it is taken down for whatever reason, the existing non-conformity no longer exists.
And there was no variance granted for.
And there would, and the other, so then the 14 feet of non-conforming extension on the back of the house, once it was taken down, no longer exists, and so we can't grandfather in something that no longer is on the ground. It's a weird legal thing, but it's kind of the general principle.
And if it was made conforming at some point because the variance was granted, we'd unfortunately be in a different situation, but we're not there.
So if they had submitted, if they had done the extension properly and pulled permits and gotten and gotten, approvals and whatever this was done in the seventies. Then we could point to that approval and say approvals were granted for the, I don't know, 25 and 14, right? The 39 feet at 7'3" from the fence, right? And, but if you're saying that there was no approval when it was done, that you could find.
Not at all.
So you should apply for what you want.
Yeah, then just apply for what you want.
But
You're
what's,
gonna-
what's
you're
the
gonna have
time,
to-
what's the timeframe of
Yeah.
this? Because this house is uninhabitable.
Yeah.
Winter's coming.
Yep.
I'm trying to get them back in.
Yep.
They have a year from the insurance company for a rental.
Yep.
So I'm like caught. Are we
Yep.
talking another 2 months or should I just redraw the plans 4 feet over and do that?
Okay, so
Because I mean, this is, this was something that was here.
here's the quirky problem of New Jersey state law. If you submit a site plan for anything, we have to actually grant you a variance for the existing old structure because it's an existing non-conforming. It's nothing beyond, it's beyond our control. New Jersey law says if you come in for site plan, we have to actually go through we have to say there's an existing non-conforming, the original 25-foot house doesn't conform to use.
So unless you're gonna keep the 10-foot setback.
Correct.
Unless you're gonna keep it within the 10-foot setback and all ordinance conditions complied with, as the zoning officer can confirm for you, that would enable you to move forward without coming to this board. and going
Even-
through the application.
Even our original house.
No, not the original.
Wait, but it's an existing non-conforming. It's
No,
not-
but
it's
I'm not saying reconstruct the original addition. I'm saying they can bump it out as close as 10 feet from the setback. So basically, if you redo a different addition that fully conforms with the zoning ordinance, you're able to proceed without coming to this board because you presumably not need a variance in that scenario.
Right.
Right? Do you understand what I'm
I
saying?
apologize. I'm understanding.
So leave the old part of the house, forget the extension that you had to tear down, but if you were to propose an extension on the back that was within the 10 feet line, for as long as you want it to be, as long as it doesn't hit the rear yard of 35-foot line, that should not trigger any need to come to this.
That was my question. That's what I was saying. The new addition, if I just redraw it,
Yeah.
step it in 4 feet, which will give me 11 something off the property line,
Yeah.
we're okay.
I mean,
Yes, it
that's,
sounds, based on what you've represented, that would comply with zoning ordinance. The zoning officer should be able to give you a zoning permit and all the construction permits for that.
All right.
And just check the impervious, that would be the only other thing. I don't know what that is there, but the zoning officer will check that in addition to all the other setbacks.
The only other thing, I didn't go to the HPC yet, is they wanted to put an extension on the front porch, which was, they have one originally, which is not with the setback.
is the house in the historic district?
Yes, it is.
So yes, anything that affects that needs to go to HPC.
Right, I don't want to do that.
But it could be set up.
Zoning already knocked it down because the porch now is 9'6" off the property line.
Right.
I want to go the opposite way and make like a Victorian porch on the front.
So what I would strongly suggest you do is if you want to get the house habitable right now,
Yeah, okay,
do the porch later.
that was my question.
Yeah.
It's like do
I
the
know
porch
that, that's fine,
separately
That's fine.
and because that's going to require a different review process.
Okay.
I think that if you want to make it as quick as possible,
No, and this is not
Yeah.
something that's, this is a very simple process which will be done in the spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
if you're worried about buttoning up the house for the winter and getting folks back in.
No, it's in
the
the
porch.
that part of the house is fine. I mean, it's fine now. So, all right. Okay, so I guess we're gonna redraw the plans.
Yeah.
and-
I mean, again, you could,
It's just.
you could always come in and do, you could always ask for what you want. It just, in terms of,
But,
in terms of timing, if you're,
it's just disappointing because there was something there,
I know.
unfortunately, the construction was so bad. We knew that buying the house.
Yeah.
They knew it. But, and I mean, look, I've been in construction 42 years, okay?
Yeah.
I just drove down. I'm not pointing fingers, but there's an addition going on one of the side streets. He does not look like he's more than 10 feet off his property. So,
And
I'm trying.
and if there's a violation, then the code official should enforce that too, right? Like that's the.
Yeah.
Part of, there are certain things that are just unfortunately beyond our control to do. It comes out of state law.
I
and you
totally
understand.
I understand, absolutely, but I just wish they could the 14 that was there.
And please understand, we appreciate that you're trying to make it better. We want you to make it better and we want you to get back in the house as quickly as possible. So I feel for you. I wish we could figure out something else.
So as far as doing the back edition, do I still gotta go through HPC or is it, he didn't seem to think this was the back then when I spoke to Richard. He didn't.
Yeah,
Can't see it.
You
You're
can't
standing in front of the
see it.
house and you can't see it.
you're
Well,
probably
now it's gonna stick.
Yeah, now you're
Now
gonna.
it's gonna
They're
inside. So,
But if it's not seen from the street, from a public way, I should say, yeah, you're fine and I should be
You're
able
pretty
to.
far back there.
Yeah.
And your
it's-
new porch is gonna wrap around.
no, not just the front, just from the side.
But yeah, again, the porch is gonna require HPC. This is
I understand that,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the zoning officer has control here, so
Mhm.
if he says you don't need to do HPC, that's his call,
No,
and
yeah.
then you're done.
All right, and I can deal with that later.
Yeah.
I just want to get this.
Understood, yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
all right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, good luck. Okay, our next item tonight. Item 10 is chair items. Our next meeting schedule is September 19th, which is next week. It's not normal, just it's next week.
We don't have one on the 26th.
We do not have one on the 26th. We have scheduled the public hearing for Flemington Realty Partners LLC, 78 Church Street, which is the old Rite Aid. That is coming in for a very minor.
Yes, and they have new plans. I've asked for electronic copies from them today. But there is a box there with they revised their plans, for, in terms of, the completeness, determination, so. If anybody would like to take copies, hopefully I will get electronic copies tomorrow and distribute those. Do that and get the sprinkler.
And then we're gonna have Stryker next. So those are the two, honestly, the 78 Church is minor and it should be a relatively straightforward application. So those two are next week on the 19th, or October 3rd. I think it's the 3rd.
We have, yes, October 3rd, we have the Central Station LLC public hearing scheduled.
And then on
And
October,
in the resolution for, BSD Space Factory. And then October 24th would be the worst.
any other, I don't have any other chair items, other than thanking everyone for coming in on what turned out to be a half-hour meeting, but,
Hey, Jeff, I have one quick question for Kara or for anyone. So I know that was an informal thing with Dewey. I'm on Mine Street and I know, like, I just Googled like my distance from them and it says on the Google, at least through the street, it says I'm 463 feet away. Is that still, that's fine? Is that how we determine the length, is like the street length, or is it like the actual distance?
It's gonna be a 200-foot radius, so if you
Right.
drew a circle, yeah, 200 feet around the property boundary lines itself.
Okay,
So I
right,
don't know,
right,
but certainly if they do come in for a variance, and we'll see if
Right.
and then we'll have to proceed accordingly.
right. Okay, that was just my question.
Thanks. No, that's great. Thank you.
other questions, any other chair items?
Jeff, I am not here on the 19th.
Next week. Okay. So you will not have the pleasure of 13 Brown or 78 Church Street.
Correct.
If one of those, I don't know if we decided which order we're going in, but,
Well, Brown Street has been,
Brown Street is continuing.
is a
Generally goes
continuation,
on.
usually be the.
But honestly, I would, unless there's an objection, I'd like to just do 78 Church, because I think.
They
we
were
get it done.
scheduled first.
It was scheduled first, and I can get it done in one night, I'd rather do it that way. So, and then, because I have a feeling then that, Stryker might continue, past that. It also allows Beth to be here and then leave if you have to,
Yes. They're all good points.
so.
Yeah, we just need to get the meeting tapes up on YouTube, so I could participate if that was the case.
And Bill has been working on the YouTube account, right?
Correct. You do not have access to a password for YouTube.
Is there any other share items?
Did we confirm that conflict planner is available next week?
You know what, I don't think we did or not. Can you reach
I
out?
did hear from Mr. Klein and he, you know, I confirmed that he wouldn't be needed today and then he was going to, if he's not available, they'll make somebody else available.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, next item, bills were circulated, yes? Okay, a motion on the bills?
So moved.
Engelhardt.
Becky Cook,
Mayor Carroll,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt.
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Mr. Levitt,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
yes.
Weitzman,
Yes.
Yes.
Leah, Mr. Apple.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12 is professional reports. Kara, do we have anything?
Nothing except to say that I checked back in with general counsel on Catalyst. I did not hear back anything. I asked for an update in furtherance of what I advised the board last meeting. Have not heard anything. If the board likes, I could put a formal letter together to circulate. I have yet to get any confirmation from prior counsel of Darminio's office as to whether they're still representing Catalyst. I don't necessarily want to copy them. But I could certainly just put a formal letter together to Jack and ask him to respond in writing prior to the board's next meeting, hopefully next Tuesday.
Be good. Here's not here, Beth. Do anything else?
I do actually.
Okay,
At the last meeting, you guys asked me to look into any required meetings or any meetings that might be happening regarding the courthouse square project.
yes.
And so I did that. I coordinated with Tara, Bob, and also my champion to try to sort out what's happening. Me personally, I haven't been involved in pre-application. I was heavily involved with the resolution compliance, which sure.
You don't have to push the button, just get closer.
So I was involved with the resolution compliance of their earlier application, which sort of led into some construction issues, but I can't tell you I was involved with their construction meetings. Mike Campion reported that the only meetings he's been involved with are for sewer, storm sewer, and water main installation. And then Bob reported that he has done, he's had several conversations with folks, but he's only done 2 meetings. Pre-construction, and then one second pre-construction meeting in August of this year. And I think Kara, you reported that you hadn't done any meetings, and so there are not regular meetings happening with the board professionals. The resolution from 2021 has a couple of relevant conditions. It talks about the applicant shall coordinate meetings. I want to paraphrase this, shall have regular meetings as needed, essentially. So it doesn't require, say, monthly meetings or at certain milestones, but it certainly does suggest that coordination with the borough needs to occur as may be necessary, and it should include board and borough professionals. So I'm not sure, I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure what the board might want me to do with this information. Maybe this, the important part was just simply to report it back. But I'm not in a position to be able to say the developer is doing something wrong or non-compliant with their resolution, but it does seem, if there are issues with construction, maybe better coordination.
Have you talked to the construction official?
Have I, or can I? I have not.
Because they only recently pulled building permits to start construction. And when I say recently, it's, I think in the last 2 weeks, maybe 3.
That would line up with Bob's early
garage, as well as demolition. They didn't have construction permits at all. So, one of the issues was that they did not have plans in the construction officer. So, they finally submitted signed and seals to him for actual drawings of the buildings, or at least whatever they want to build now, which had been, according to him, to me, changing. And none of them were finalized or sealed. And so they finally, because when they tried to get the permit, he refused to give it to them because he didn't have anything signed. So, they only recently, like I said, very recently in the last couple weeks, got permits to start any construction on any dwelling.
Okay.
So, we also heard, and I haven't verified this, we heard that, there was a change in construction manager over there. I don't know if that's true or not, but, I heard that through, I believe through our DPW, who's hoping that they sent a better 18, because we've not had an 18. But that was their fault, DPW. As well.
So Beth, everything that you and Kara researched though, there's no, they're not in any kind of compliance issue by not having meetings, right?
No, because I think that's correct. It states, for example, the applicant shall coordinate on-site pre-construction meetings with a variety of people. It goes on as needed, essentially. And so
Okay.
I can't point to a specific condition that they're violating. If there is no need for meetings, then they're not in violation.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for doing for that. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Do we need to go to executive session?
We do not.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? Have a second? Second. Thank you all in favor. Say aye.
Aye.
All right, good night, everyone.
Beth, you know, anything.
What's